You ever drive a mountain road so dark it feels like the world already ended? That's what it felt like on Road 4B, somewhere between Muong Lay and Muong Ta, two forgotten towns in the mountains of northern Vietnam. It was 2019. There were 4 of us in the truck that night, me, Long, Black, Huang, the Crazy, and Tung, the Mouth. We were hauling a shipment of, well, I'll just say something strange. The kind of thing no one wanted to talk about out loud. The fog rolled in thick as milk. The road curved like a dying snake, hugging the Black River below, the Da River, a place the locals said never gives back what it takes. I was driving, heart pounding, because I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. In the glove box was a machete, about 2 feet long, blade greenish like oxidized copper. I'd borrowed it from my uncle that afternoon. Didn't ask where he got it, and now I wish I had. Around 2:15 a.m., as we climbed a Z-shaped turn near Ta Nan Pass, a stench hit us, heavy, sweet, rotten. Not animal. Not garbage. The smell of something human, months dead. It seeped through the closed windows, sticky in our throats. Long yelled, "Stop the damn truck. Something's dead in here." I pulled over. We jumped out. The fog was so thick the headlights looked solid, 2 yellow walls cutting through milk. I popped the trunk. Nothing. No body, no animal. Just the machete, lying there like it had been waiting. But the blade, which was spotless before, was now dripping with fresh blood. A drop hit the truck bed. Then another. We stared. Nobody breathed. Then the headlights swung to the roadside. And we saw her. A woman, standing under an ancient banyan tree, you know, the kind with roots like hanging ropes. She was wearing a white dress, hair long enough to brush the ground, her belly swollen like she was 8 months pregnant. She didn't move. But her shadow had 3 forms. 2 of them, small, crawling, dragged themselves behind her feet. Huang cursed and slammed his foot on the gas. We tore down the road. 500 meters later, Long screamed. "She's in the back seat." I looked up, and there she was, in the rearview mirror. Sitting right between Long and Tung. Her head bowed. Her hair floating like it was underwater. I turned around. Nothing there. But the seat was wet. A pool of reddish fluid soaked into the fabric, still steaming. It smelled like blood and something else, something from inside a woman's body. By the time we reached Muong Ta, it was past 3 a.m. That's when we saw Lin, Long's wife, standing at the gas station with her cousin Bien. They'd come from Pa So, about 40 kilometers away, to meet us. Bien's face was pale as chalk. He said their motorbike had stalled near the old cemetery in Chon Nua, and he panicked. So he tossed a bag of milk candies, Kosua, the kind people give to kids, onto the road and said, "Here, for the spirits." Ever since then, he said, he'd heard children crying and a woman moaning in labor chasing after their bike. I laughed at first. But then Lin looked up. Her eyes were bloodshot, like she hadn't blinked in hours. And she was staring straight at the machete in my hand. Whispering. Not words. Just sounds. Long froze. He'd always been the weakest when it came to ghosts. Once, he said, a sleep paralysis demon, Nuoi Mai Goi La shadow figure, a black silhouette that sits on your chest, nearly suffocated him. I told him, take her to Tam Duong, to Madame Hong's house. Now. Madame Hong was a shaman, the locals called her Mother of Demons. The moment I said her name, Lin screamed. Not like a woman. It was 3 voices at once, a man's guttural roar, a woman's cry, and a baby's high-pitched wail, all twisted together. Then she bolted, sprinted straight toward the Da River, and dove in. The current there is fast, black water with no moonlight. We ran after her, and it took all 4 of us to pull her out. When we dragged her onto the bank, her belly showed 3 red handprints, pressed from the inside, like something, or someone, had been clawing to get out. The night didn't get any easier. By the time we reached Madame Hong's house, the mountains were silent, too silent. Not even the usual hoot of an owl or the distant barking of dogs. The kind of silence that presses against your ears and makes you question if you're still alive. Madame Hong was waiting. She didn't even glance at us. Her eyes were black and sharp, like coal burned in fire, and her hands, long, spindly, rested on a table covered in ritual items I didn't understand: red cloth, 9 uncooked eggs, wild thorns, gai rum, a type of poisonous bush from the northwest, and a small bowl of dark water that smelled like blood. "She's ready," she said. Her voice was calm. Too calm. Like she already knew what was coming. I had Lin sit down. She wouldn't stop trembling. Her lips moved in whispers, not Vietnamese anymore, not even a language I recognized. The room felt colder with every passing second. My breath fogged in front of me, even though it was the middle of summer. Madame Hong pointed at the machete in my hand. "It's time," she said. I froze. This was the same machete, the one dripping blood back on Road 4B. The one I didn't touch after that night. But her eyes, they didn't judge me. They commanded. "You must strike." Strike. At what? She handed me a skull. A real one. Human. My stomach turned. I couldn't imagine where she got it. But the eyes, the hollow sockets seemed alive. Waiting. I obeyed. My hands shook like I'd never shaken before. The machete went down. The ground shuddered. Black blood erupted like a fountain, splattering everything around me. The smell, worse than before, was sharp, metallic, and filled my lungs. I gagged. And then I heard it. A laugh. Not one laugh. 3. Children, small and shrill, laughing like demons. Lin screamed. Her body bent unnaturally. Her back arched like a shrimp, her mouth wide open as if some invisible force was pulling it. She vomited, something. Thick, dark, and horrifying. Tiny shapes floated in it. Tiny human forms. Babies. The ritual had begun. Madame Hong grabbed the 9 eggs. One by one, she rolled them across Lin's body. 7 cracked, spilling blood over her chest and legs. The last 2, they broke differently. 2 miniature heads stared back at me. Eyes black, blinking, unblinking, like they could see inside me. And I swear, they moved. Tiny mouths opening and closing, whispering, screaming. I wanted to run. I couldn't. I was trapped by fear. By the ritual. By destiny, as Madame Hong would later say. Your fate, she whispered, is tied to them. The 3 vengeful spirits from Road 4B. She told me the story, a story that made my blood freeze. One man, killed in a fight in 1997, drowned in that river at midnight tide, the first 2 hours of the night, roughly 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. One pregnant woman, shoved into the same river by her husband in 2003. A second unborn child, killed in its mother's womb by fear and superstition. All 3 had died on the same lunar day, same hour, same stretch of river. And they were hungry. Hungry for anyone whose destiny aligned with theirs. That's when it clicked. The machete wasn't mine to choose. It chose me. Every drop of blood it collected, every scream it had witnessed, had been a summoning. I wanted to tell Madame Hong I was done. I wanted to throw the machete away. But she shook her head. Never. Not until they are sated, or they take you and your friends to the river to join them. The rest of the night blurred. Lin screamed, cried, vomited, arched, and whispered in languages that hurt to hear. I held the machete, ready. Watching. Hoping. praying. Outside, the fog pressed in. The wind moaned like 1,000 children. Every 3 hours, just like the river spirits demanded, the knocking started at the door, 3 slow, 2 fast, followed by a whisper. Return the machete, return what's ours. I couldn't sleep. None of us could. Long, the weakest among us, didn't leave the bed. He muttered prayers from his mother, Vietnamese Catholic prayers, that didn't work. The spirits didn't care. For 49 days, we stayed. Lin bathed in water boiled from 9 types of poisonous mountain thorns. Each night, I stayed by her side, watching, terrified of turning around. The machete, it stayed under my bed. The green-blue blade gleamed. Every morning, I found a new drop of fresh blood on the floor, no matter how many times I cleaned. Madame Hong's final words to me. You and them, your destiny has been bound since a previous life. The machete chose you. Do not let it go. If you do, you and your friends will join them in the river. I understood. I understood that this was bigger than any of us. That night on Road 4B had been the beginning, and the spirits weren't finished yet. I look at that blade now. I wake up to the sound of soft crying at 3 a.m. I hear the slow, fast knocking. And I remember the tiny black eyes of unborn children staring at me from the cracked eggs. And I think, maybe next time, they won't wait for me to obey. The last night came like a shadow swallowing the mountains. By then, we knew the routine. 3 slow knocks, 2 fast. The whisper, return the machete, return what's ours. It was 3 a.m. again. I clutched the machete, heart hammering, while Long, Quang, and Tum sat rigid in the corner of Madame Hong's dimly lit hut. Lin's back arched in the ritual position, her mouth wide open, and her cries filled the room like a chorus of the damned. Madame Hong spoke quietly, her voice slicing through the chaos. Tonight, they will test all of you. One false move, one drop of fear, and they claim you. I realized then, the spirits weren't just attached to Lin. They had marked us, the 4 of us, since that first night on Road 4B, when the woman in white appeared with her 3 shadows. Every mile we had driven, every drop of blood on that machete, had sealed our fate. The air thickened. The fog from outside crept through the walls like a living thing. I could feel it touching my skin, whispering, you belong to us. Suddenly, Lin's body convulsed violently. 3 tiny hands, pressed from the inside, slashed her skin again. She screamed, but the sound wasn't human. It was 3 voices, a man, a woman, and a baby, merged into one. And then, she spoke. You took what is mine. I froze. It wasn't Lin. It was the spirits, inside her. Quang panicked. He lunged toward her, screaming, but Madame Hong slammed her hand down. No, she hissed. They feed on fear. If you run, they will take everything. The machete in my hand seemed to hum. The green-blue blade glimmered like it had a pulse of its own. I knew what I had to do. Strike, Madame Hong commanded. Strike. I hesitated. Strike the earth. Strike Lin. Strike the spirits themselves. Before I could act, Tum screamed. The room's shadows moved like water. The 3 spirits, the man, the pregnant woman, and the unborn child, rose from Lin's body, hovering, writhing. Their eyes black as coal. Mouths opening impossibly wide, moaning, wailing, laughing. Long fainted. Quang vomited. And I held the machete steady. Madame Hong stepped aside. Through her, through them. The earth will consume them if you are strong enough. I brought the blade down. Through Lin. No. Through the skull of the first spirit, the man who had drowned in 1997. The machete cut through something that wasn't solid yet felt like resistance itself. Blood exploded, black, thick, smelling of decay and river mud. The spirits shrieked. Lin's body convulsed again, but this time, slowly, she began to calm. The black eyes of the unborn child met mine. I could feel it thinking. Judging. Then, fading. I swung the machete again. Through the pregnant woman. Then the child. The wind outside howled. The walls shook. Shadows twisted like smoke. The fog retreated, sucked back into the mountains. And then, silence. Lin collapsed. Her body was weak, but her eyes were hers again. She whispered, barely audible. They wanted me, all of me. Madame Hong turned to me. Her eyes were unreadable. Keep the machete. Always. It chose you for a reason. You survived, but next time it may not be enough. The four of us left her hut at sunrise. The fog was gone. The river glistened like any other river in the daylight, but I knew better. It was never the same. Long refused to speak. Huang and Tung were pale and silent. Lin slept for hours, murmuring strange words in her sleep. I carried the machete home. Every night since, I hear the knocks. 3 slow, 2 fast. I see black eyes watching me from corners. And every morning, a single new drop of blood on the floor, fresh, vibrant. The lesson is simple: some objects choose their owners. Some roads, some nights, carry debts you cannot outrun. I never drive Road 4B at night anymore. But I know the woman waits. Waiting for the next soul to wander. And I know, one day, she will return for me.